Welcome everyone we're making history here to the first virtual general meeting of the Women's Club of Cranbury. And this is certainly, I think, a learning experience for all of us to have a virtual meeting. Dee Dee, you're probably a pro at it. I know some of you that are on this all the time, but thanks to the tremendous effort of Marcia, putting together all the technology, you know, helping me, nudging me along. And I think it's going to be a learning experience for all of us. And all I can say is let's be willing to learn. Let's laugh at our mistakes, support each other. And I think we'll get through it. When the board met, we felt that it was very important to try to maintain some semblance of normalcy, you might say. We just didn't want to dispense with our general meetings. So I'm sure that they'll get better as they go on. And I also encourage all of us to people who are a little hesitant to try it out, to join in virtually. And we just can build on today's experience. And I'm sure some of you will have some comments how we can do things differently. And we should share on that and like I say, try to improve what we're doing. Today's meeting originally was scheduled, of course, to be hosted by the Public Affairs. And I'm going to be turning it over to Fran, who will take it from here.
Thank you, Diana. And welcome to the members to our first Zoom general meeting by the Public Affairs Department. Our speaker this afternoon is Ray Chimileski, and after Ray's presentation, he will be accepting questions. Ray is the founder and executive director of Operation CHILLOUT, New Jersey's oldest all-volunteer mobile outreach for homeless veterans, men and women on mission, since December 21st, 2000. No borders, no boundaries. They serve all of New Jersey, Northeast Pennsylvania, and coastal Rhode Island. Ray is the founder and executive director. He is supported by an all-volunteer senior leadership team that works with homeless communities in need and plans for their assistance. His rapid response team rescues an average of 1 new homeless veteran each day and arranges temporary housing until the veteran receives longer-term housing and care. Ray will give us an overview of Operation CHILLOUT and describe its history and mission and the 2020 Special State Project. Welcome, Ray, to the Women's Club of Cranbury.
Well, thank you very much. It's very, very nice to be here with you all. Can everybody hear? Is my audio okay? Mm-hmm. It is? Okay, great. I thought that I'd start with a little bit about the history. And again, that's the story that we tell about our first encounter with a homeless Vietnam veteran living in Dover. It was a cold, dreary beginning of a winter. And we had been reading newspapers, 2 friends of mine, after church services, and it was on the front page. It was a story about a homeless Vietnam vet living under a bridge in Dover. Now, Dover from Long Valley is about a 20-minute ride, and we started an argument. None of us had ever seen those 2 words in the same sentence printed before, homeless and veteran. So one of us said, this is a made-up story. Another one said, no, I heard there are homeless people in the area, not here in Long Valley, but maybe in the city of Dover. And I said, let's go find out. So we took a ride right from church. We stopped at the police department in Dover with the newspaper article, and the officer on charge said, yeah, he's there. He's right in back of the diner at the top of the hill. So we took a ride to the top of the hill. We got out of our car, and there was ice all over the parking lot. It was pretty dreary. I had sleeted the night before. And we're looking, where is the homeless veteran? We had no idea why we were there or what we planned to do. So looking around the parking lot where it goes down the embankment to the railroad tracks, my friend spied an American flag upside down, inverted. That's the universal symbol of distress. So if you're separated from your battalion or you're on assignment and you need help, if you're injured or lost, an American flag is put upside down. It's not a symbol of disgrace or dishonor to the flag. It's a symbol of distress used by all the military branches in the US. So we said that might be a clue. So we got closer and closer to the edge of the parking lot, and we saw that it dropped down almost direct. It was like a cliff. And to the right, underneath the overpass, we saw plywood and tin, corrugated sheet metal and canvas. And it looked like there was like a room there. So we knocked on the side of the plywood, and we heard a voice. He said, "Yes, what can I do for you?" And we were surprised. We were shocked. We had no idea that there might be somebody in there. We said, "We saw this story." He said, "Oh, you saw this story, did you?" He said, "What did you think of it?" I said, "Well, it's very interesting." He said, "Do you want to find out more about my life and situation?" And we said, "Sure." He said, "Take me upstairs to the diner and buy me breakfast. I'll tell you anything you want to hear." So the veteran who is homeless, living under the trestle in Dover, broke the ice for us and made it easy for us to find out what is this crisis of homelessness among veterans here right in the US and right in New Jersey. So he took us up to the diner. We had a wonderful breakfast. All of the wait staff knew him. The man on the counter line knew him because that's where he gets his meals. And he said that I went to Vietnam pretty early. It was the mid 60s. And I was not wounded physically, but I saw a lot of action. And after 13 months, I only did one tour. I came back home. I had a job, I had a family, and I had kids. So he joined his family, his job, and his kids. But after a short while, things started to fall apart. He would have nightmares. He would have what they call night sweats, terror sweats. He would get into arguments with people for no reason at all. He lost his job because of fighting. He started drinking pretty heavily, and his family locked the door. He said, "We can't take it anymore. You got to get help." So if we were to discuss this phenomenon right now and these symptoms, we would know exactly, or pretty close to exact, what that was, wouldn't we? It would be PTSD. But back then, it was underdiagnosed and it was denied by the Pentagon and the VA. This really doesn't happen. And if it does, it's only temporary and it gets better on its own. We know now that there are treatment programs within the VA, within all the military branches, to assess men and women still in the field right now to see if they have early signs for PTSD. So this man wound up homeless. He lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and just through his contacts with people that he knew, wound his way up and settled in New Jersey. There were a couple of other men from his battalion, from his infantry outfit that were in New Jersey, one in Newark, down in Somerville. And then he found out that Dover was a pretty homeless-friendly town. There was a church nearby that had 7 days a week, breakfast and lunch. There were agencies that gave out used clothing. And there was no hostility or animus towards people who were in need. We were flabbergasted. We had never in a million years thought that this was going on. So fast forward another week or two, it's after Christmas break and we're sitting together with our wives. And what did you do over the Christmas holiday? And the guy said, "I went skiing." Another guy said, "No, I don't like the cold. I went to Florida to visit my grandkids." I raised my hand and I said, "I helped a homeless veteran living under the trestle in Dover." And it was dead silence in the room. And the woman who was coordinating this little get together said, "Could you tell us more about that? What happened?" So I told the story that I just told you all. And she said, "Ray, when was that?" I said, "I'm trying to figure out." She said, "No, exactly. When was that?" So I said, "Well, it was December 21st. It was 4 days before Christmas." And she gasped again. And she said, "Do you know the significance of December 21st? I says, "No clue. It's 4 days before Christmas." She said, No, it's the darkest day of the year. It's the winter solstice. This is the darkest day of the year. There are more hours of darkness than there are daylight. And then after that, for every day, for 1 minute a day until the spring equinox, it gets lighter and lighter. So you were spiritually helping somebody in their darkest hour with physical support and nurturance and kindness. And I project that you're going to do this again. And I said, "Marion, I suggest that you're out of your mind. We don't even know what we did. We visited a man in need and we got him some basic supplies. We asked him before we left for breakfast, is there anything we can do other than, being friends with you?" He said, "Sure. It's getting cold and I need some warm clothing." I said, "Exactly what do you need?" He says, "I need a pair of boot socks that I wear. I like long johns, the tops and the bottoms. We now call them thermals. I like the zipped hooded sweatshirt. The zip is important because I could layer stuff under it. I like a nice knit cap that I pull down over my ears. And I like a pair of gloves, but don't make the gloves leather because when they get wet, if they freeze, they break apart. So get some sort of waterproof gloves. There's an Army and Navy store downtown in Dover, about 10 minutes away. So we took a ride. We found the knapsack. We found all of those items: socks, long johns, a zipped hooded sweatshirt, a knit cap, and a pair of non-leather gloves. We put it in the knapsack and brought it back. We made his day. This is the best Christmas present I've had in years. If we look at the calendar, found out when was that? That was December 21st of the year 2000. We never intended to do it more than that once. We've been doing it consistently every year after for 20 years. This year, December 21st will be our 20th anniversary. So that's the backstory of Operation Chill Out. What we've done in these past 20 years has been really remarkable. As we heard in the introduction, we're the only, and therefore the oldest, all volunteer mobile outreach for homeless vets, men and women in Jersey. It's very, very important that we explain what that means. That means that nobody's on salary. None of the officers receive compensation. We have no brick and mortar. We have no office. We have no physical assets. We're a volunteer coalition that has been meeting consistently for 20 years. I have a senior leadership that meets every month. They're assigned to work with different counties to find out what's going on. They come back, give us information, and then we mobilize to go out where the homeless veterans are. A lot of agencies are on salary, a lot do good work, as we know. A lot provide clothing and meals and things like that. The other thing that distinguishes us is that we provide new clothing. Operation Chill Out does not ever collect used clothing and pass it on to the homeless that we meet. Two reasons: it's dignity, and you never know what you're going to get in used clothing. I have very, very well-intentioned people call me every month. My uncle died. He's got a closet full of brand new suits when he was in business. I said, thank you very much, call the Salvation Army. We really have no venue for that. So we can only do what we do, and that's four things. In the winter, as we speak now, we're getting into our annual winter homeless outreach campaign. I call it a campaign because it's like a mobilization. We plan for it, we mobilize, and we execute it. And then at the end of it, we evaluate what we did and what we can do better. So it's a true mobilization campaign. And what we used to do up until this year is purchase bulk backpacks, 19 inches, very, very simple, dark muted colors. And we give them out to groups and individuals with a checklist of those same items: the socks, the long johns, the zipped hoodie, the cap, and the gloves. And they bring it back to us, or we pick it up from them at a point in time, and then we start delivering them. We usually average in New Jersey about 1,500 backpacks, Pennsylvania about 200, and Rhode Island probably about 300 or 400. So all told, we need about 1,500 backpacks every year to execute our mobilization. This year, because of everybody's facing challenges with COVID, we can't do that. Some groups aren't even meeting. They're doing Zooms and offline things like this. So we're trying something that we tried in the summer that worked really, really well. And that's an online campaign. This summer, and I'll talk about the summer campaign in a minute, but the Women's Clubs of New Jersey really got on board. They went to our website, operationchillout.org, and they hit on that splash page, the homepage. They found a link, and the link was to donate $10 increments. The money would come to us, and then we negotiated with ShopRite in Chester here in New Jersey to buy pallets of water. So people physically didn't bring us water, or people are not going to bring us filled backpacks. We're going to go to the website, operationchillout.org. For the winter campaign, you'll find 3 links. One is for the backpacks. The backpacks, if you and I were to go to Walmart or to Target or to Macy's or someplace and put in those 5 items, it would probably cost us about $60. And the backpack would be another $19.95 or $20, something like that. So that's $60 to $80. We, through our buying power now with this online campaign, we're able to negotiate with the manufacturer representatives. So we're getting all the same brand name winter items at below wholesale cost, delivered and shipped to us for free. So my team and my volunteers are going to do the packing and the sorting and the labeling of all the backpacks and get them routed throughout the state of New Jersey, Northeast Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island throughout the winter. We're starting very early. We usually don't start until November. And this year, because of the new way of doing it, we have to reach a lot of people in methods that we've never tried before. Online, website, Facebook, Zoom, all of these technology options that we trust will really work for us. So that's the winter campaign. In the summer, we were in Hackensack. There was a large group of homeless veterans that we were serving there from the year probably 2004 to the present. And it was a sizable group of veterans. And it was this one veteran who was a Marine. He was a tough guy and basically the alpha male of the group. He would take care of everybody, but he had a temper. He had PTSD, completely 100% active. And if he wasn't under control, he would get into fights. He would get into arguments. He'd be constantly arrested back and forth. But he was the protector. The police knew him and they gave him a lot of slack because they knew what his situation was. He got frostbitten on his face, his hands, and his feet one winter because he refused to go to the temporary shelter that was set up in Hackensack. So we stayed under the Hackensack Route 80 overpass, the Hackensack River Route 80 overpass going up to the rest of northern Bergen County. Hackensack, as you know, is about 6 miles or less to New York City. So he's very, very close to the richest city, at least here in the US. Still in abject poverty, living in a sleeping bag in a small handmade tent that he had under the trestle on Route 80. He got the frostbite, and in the spring they started treatment. It was basically very simple. They thought that they could peel the top layers of the skin off on his hands and his feet and his face. His face worked fine, but it didn't work. It went to his tissues and then to his bones. So he technically had what they call bone necrosis. His bones was dying because of the severe frostbite that he had. So we had sent him to the Hackensack University Medical Center to get checked out. And the only thing that they suggest that would keep it from going to become gangrene was to amputate his hands and his feet. He agreed to the procedure. He was taking antibiotics for a couple of days, up to a week. And we went on that Saturday morning to pick him up. The surgery was scheduled for that Monday. He didn't show up to the parking lot. So we thought that was natural. He's got cold feet or he's hungover. He might have gotten drunk that night. So I had one of my scouts go up to find him, and he was dead in his sleeping bag. Didn't make the surgery. So after the coroner's office took the body because it was an unaccompanied death, the autopsy found out that it was not suicide, it was not foul play. The antibiotics he was taking needed to be flushed out with up to a gallon of water a day. He was drinking the water from the Hackensack River, and that's what killed him. It was dysentery and infections and toxic sludge from the Hackensack River. It was at that moment that we decided we can do something for the homeless in the summer as well. That's why we do the cases of water. A case of water can save a life in literally. Having fresh water to drink can give you an option of getting further services or further support and assistance. So the things that we do through Operation CHILLOUT is not a silver bullet, and it does not solve the problem of homelessness. We call it a peace offering. A lot of the vets who've been frustrated because how slow the system works or how ineffective it might have been for them in the past are very wary and not trustful of anyone. It usually takes from the time we meet a vet to the time that they even consider coming in and taking services through the VA, 10 contacts, up to 10 contacts. And many of them never come in. Many of them never commit. They stay on the street, they die on the street, or they some of them gracefully return to their families of origin, very irregularly, but sometimes they do. So that's the second project. We also mentioned in our introduction that Operation CHILLOUT has a rapid response team, as we call it. We get phone calls every day. We rescue a minimum of one homeless veteran, new homeless veteran, every day, every year. Last year, we did the statistics for our 2019 tax filing, and we did 370 individual rescues. That means a man or a woman veteran was taken off the street, put into temporary motel or hotel care nearby, and then we advocate to get them into longer term programs with the VA, the PTSD Center at Lyons Hospital or down in Cherry Hill, or any of the other many services that provide ongoing care. free of charge to them. Last year, our bill just for the motel stays was $85,000 for 1 year. And the other $15,000 was new clothing, meals, and transportation. So it cost us $100,000 to do what we do every day. As I mentioned, Operation CHILLOUT takes no government aid at all. We have no ongoing grant streams. We depend on individual contributions. We depend on support from groups like yours, Rotary Elks Clubs, Boy Scouts, VFWs, Legion Halls, churches, synagogues. They've known us over the years. They trust the way we do business, and their congregations or their clubs join us every year. As I mentioned, as you're experiencing now, this is a challenging year. We don't know if we're going to get the 1,500 backpacks that we need. That's why I started the campaign 2 months early. So we're giving ourselves time, and we're not going to end right at the end of January. We'll continue to keep the website open all throughout the winter months, so we do get every homeless vet and person that we meet on the road the supplies and the warm clothing that they do need. The last thing we did in 2017, we decided that we had an opportunity to close the gap, or what they call the continuum of service. Operation CHILLOUT is like the 911 responders. We get the first call and we go out. We're the grunts. We're the lowest level on the food chain. Somebody in the police department here in Morris County, the sheriff, called us the tip of the spear. We go out first, no questions asked. That's why our motto is no borders, no boundaries. It has nothing to do with migrants or immigrants. No borders, no boundaries. We go where we need to go, no restrictions, because we don't receive government aid or any corporate funding that has to be require us to do special things. We have no staff. So we don't even qualify for government aid because we have no paid staff. So we're not even on their radar. We're not even in their horizon. And we've been doing what we do for 20 years this December. So the last thing we decided we'd like to try is build tiny homes for veterans. It was a small group of veterans in Gloucester County, New Jersey, who had a community that was a former Boy Scout camp that some of their members and their supporters purchased. And they built a number of tiny homes in that property. Tiny home in New Jersey is any small dwelling that meets code requirements that's under 350 square foot. So we decided we can do that. We got our first tiny home in 2017. It's on a trailer, so it's technically a mobile home. It's 27 feet long. It is 8 feet high, 13 feet high and 8 feet wide. It's got a full handicap accessible bathroom. It's got a galley kitchen run on propane. It's got a Murphy bed that comes down from the wall. So when it's not being in use, it goes up. Little office space, a widescreen TV that comes down from the ceiling. I would love to have this for vacations. It's really cool. It's really, really neat. So we're waiting here in Morris County to go through all the zoning regulations, and hopefully we hope with it, maybe even by the spring, if these restrictions for COVID lighten up a little bit, and we're able to finish and get the approvals, we'll have a veteran in there. Now the program that we're using is a 2-year program. This is located on a working farm of one of our members, one of our volunteers. So he or she, whoever is selected and wants to live in this project for 2 years, will be working on the farm and working with Rutgers University to get an accelerated certificate of a farmer veteran that is equivalent to a professional certification in computer science or something like that. It runs down in Newark. They have a lot of support. And I went down there, we took a look at it. They do hydroponics, they do aquaponics. I met a veteran who lives in Newark under Route 280 going over the river there, who has an apiary in his backyard. He has beehives, and he's already, with his daughter, turned a profit the first year with that certificate. They help them, they get them marketing. So that's our last of the 4-step mission. This winter campaign, the summer campaign, rapid response team is 24/7, 365. And the tiny home is the beginning. It's the seeds of a new branch of projects and offerings that Operation CHILLOUT hopes to be able to bring online very shortly after things calm down here. We need to get the one under our belt and approved, then we'll know how to do it again. So we're really close to that goal, but we do not have a veteran in there now. We hope by the spring we get the approvals and we get a veteran who's willing and able to do the 2 years with us in the project. That's pretty much what I have. And I've come up to about 25 minutes. So I'm going to take a break and I want to open the floor for any questions. Number one, I want to thank the Women's Club as selecting Operation Chill Out for their 2020 to 2022 state special project. Again, you helped us big time this summer. We were over our goal very, very quickly for the number of cases of water we needed. And we delivered everything in record time. It usually takes us from Memorial Day to Labor Day to do what we do, because it's a slow start. It's picking up the cases of water in different locations, bringing it back to us, putting it in our trucks, delivering it out. This year, it was done very, very simply, very efficiently, very businesslike. With the amount of donations received from you guys, which was probably about more than 50%, I delivered all the water with our volunteers by the end of July. Okay, a full month early. So we're really confident and very, very prayerful that with your joining us on our winter campaign and going to the website and donating a backpack and sharing that information with all your friends, with your husbands, with your sons and daughters, with your colleagues at work, with your church groups, with other groups you're involved with, and we can make that goal. It might not be, as soon as we think. That's why I'm leaving the campaign open. It's going to be open-ended starting now. It's probably going to end probably mid-February, I would think. We got 1,100 backpacks, Jersey, 200 in Pennsylvania, and up to 400 in Rhode Island that we're committed to delivering to all of our partners out there. So with your help, I think we can do it. Again, I motor mouth when I get going here. So let me take a break and open the floor for any questions that you have.
Since many of you are muted, if you have a question, raise your hand and I'll or try to unmute yourself. But if you raise your hand or something, maybe I can see somebody. I have a question. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Fran?
I do.
Go ahead.
Maybe you have it or he can give it out. I am a member of several other groups. Is there an address that we can have that we can send them not necessarily, not with the Women's Club, but outside of the Women's Club that we could send donations to?
Absolutely. The address, if you want to take this down, it's on the website. So all the information is on the website.
Oh, okay.
But I will give it to you now because it's easy. Post Office Box 353, Long Valley, 07853. 07853.
And make it out and address it to you.
Operation Chill Out, not to me.
Operation Chill Out. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, we're a 501c3 federally recognized not-for-profit charity. So any donations that we do get, we send out verification, and then that person, if they do that, take that donation off their taxes.
So you're doing all of this with just donations?
Yes.
It's amazing.
As we always have for 20 years. Wow. I'm involved in a couple of not-for-profit boards, and one of them, we had a little convocation to talk about your organization, how you've succeeded. I gave my model just the same story I told you guys. And then the guy from Rutgers who was running it shook his head. He said, not possible, not possible. I said, excuse me, we've been doing this for almost 20 years. No government money. Certainly we get checks and donations from individuals and from clubs and things like that. But we write no grants that are competitive, that require us to do things that we don't do. Nobody ties our hands. That's why we can do what we do. We're very independent in a sense, but let me give you an example of how we're strategically positioned to help the rest of the agencies. Every Friday in the summer between 3:30 and 4:30, we get several calls from agencies and they tell us, can you pick up a homeless veteran here that we've had in our lobby since Wednesday afternoon? He can't stay in our location over the weekend because we locked the doors. These are agencies that have salaries, they have brick and mortar, they have grants, they're 9-to-5ers, they work as people in a career. And I'm not denying that they're not doing good work, but they depend on us to pick up what they can't do. I would get in the summer 50% of referrals from the VA itself, the VA hospitals, the VA PTSD units, because yes, they have the veterans eligible and meets the requirements. They don't have bed space. They don't have funding to continue the programs. So we
How many of you? What are your number of volunteers?
Well, we have volunteers in several of the northern Jersey counties. I have a leadership team of 15 people who meet monthly. And of those 15 people, I would say half of them are retired. So they do have some free time. We are always looking for recruits. I've had a couple of clubs say, after this winter, can we still be involved? I said, sure, especially some of the locations where we get very low referrals.
Right, right.
Down in Jersey, for example, in your area, for example. Now, we do get them down there, but they're not as many as we get where we're more popular and more well-known. So yeah, there are things we can do. Very, very simple stuff. Loading a backpack with those items, putting a tag on it, man and woman, and the size. It sounds like simple work, but it's if we don't get that work done, we can't deliver the backpacks. Or
doing a wonderful job.
Wow. Taking it in the trunk of our car, deliver it to the locations, to the soup kitchens, to the halfway houses, to the veterans locations, and then we do the more dangerous ones ourselves, the veterans in our group and those who are willing to do it. We do the encampments that are off the road in the middle of the woods. We get referrals from police. We get referrals from sheriff's offices. They won't go down there because if they go down there and discover something illegal, they have to take legal action. We don't. We can go down there and give them the supplies that we need for their survival and encourage them to come back in, to come and be mainstream. It's very difficult. I couldn't go for a day without a morning shower and an evening shower before I go to bed. Some of these people go for weeks and weeks without that simple comfort, of taking the shower and putting on a new set of clothes. Most of the Vietnam veterans that we used to see, for the first 10 years, that was all we saw was Vietnam veterans because there was no other veterans that we saw that were homeless. Now it's a mixed bag. And the Vietnam veterans are my age and older. They're in their 70s, mid 70s, and they're either dying back, they're dying off, or they're in nursing home care. So the veterans that we see now are all the Middle East war veterans, okay? And from Kosovo. And we also have some from Korea. We've had a couple from World War II, believe it or not. Guys in their late 80s that were referred to us by an agency because they didn't have a program. And they asked us for help. So it's a mixed bag, I hope that answers a little bit of the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I just wanted to point out to you all that I put under chat the name and address and the website address, and you should be able to copy and paste that so you have the information. It's pretty simple. It's operationchillout.org is the website. I also put the address there. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. You should be able to speak. Go ahead.
What is the percentage of female homeless vets?
Very interesting. It's pretty low, but we see them. I would say 1 out of 20. So it's about 5%. And up until 5 years ago, we never saw women veterans. Now, I was doing a presentation yesterday, as I mentioned, at Carney's Point. And after, I was getting into the truck to come back home. And one of your members from Carney's Point came up to me and said, thank you for talking so compassionately about veterans with PTSD. I am a PTSD sufferer. I am a veteran. She was very quiet about it. I don't know how much people in the club know about this, but we do see them. We do see them. It's about 5%, 1 out of every 20, I would think. The reason that veterans are becoming homeless now are not the reasons that they're becoming homeless when we first started 20 years ago. In the past couple of years, especially this year, a lot of, we call them the working poor. A lot of families who came back from military service had a hard time to transition. A lot of the jobs that they had and a lot of the dreams broke down. So they're living paycheck to paycheck. If their hours are cut or if they lose their job, they don't have a safety net. I would say 75% of because the reasons for the referral, we ask them, why are you homeless? How did you get homeless? No matter what they say, we're still going to rescue them. But we put it in our statistics. So we're finding out that this year, 75+% are I lost my job. My hours were cut. I couldn't pay the rent. I'm on the street. Boom, boom, boom. So we immediately get them off the street into temporary care, and then they're referred to local county services for unemployment, et cetera. In the beginning, the Vietnam vets mostly were there for PTSD reasons. Their families had an inability to care for them anymore. They were physically locked out, and their only option was to be on the street. We have to remember in New Jersey, the deinstitutionalization of the mentally ill in all the state institutions, Greystone in the north and Cora in the south, put thousands and thousands of mentally challenged people on the streets with no recourse. Many of them were the seeds of our chronic homeless that we still see in New Jersey, many of them. Now, some of them are aging out as well and going into nursing home care. But I have seen Vietnam veterans that we've seen in year one still on the street in Morristown. We know him. We call him Big John. He's the alpha dog in Morristown. Takes care of all of the other homeless people. He has an inability to live inside. His PTSD and his agoraphobia, he can't be confined. He can't be in a physical shelter for any long, or else he freaks out. But the reasons that we're seeing the vets now is overwhelmingly economic reasons, not structural reasons, not defects in their personality, not lack of job skills. It's lack of a job, and therefore the lack of income to keep your house or your apartment and your family together.
Any other questions? Sue, yeah, unmute yourself, Sue. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I got it.
There you go.
I thought that headquarters was asking us for sweatshirts, the zipped kind.
Yes.
Are we no longer asked to donate sweatshirts because Operation Chill Out can get them at a much cheaper rate, and we should just be sending money rather than the sweatshirts?
Well, I understand that when Pat Dahl and I and Jan Hansen talked, they asked, because you have a history of collecting things, that you didn't want to break that. So I said, I honor that completely. And they said, what can we get? So I told them the items that we put in the backpack, and Pat and Jan selected the zipped hoodies. Now I don't know if all the clubs are doing that, statewide. We need them. They're going to go a big way. They're not in the wholesale manufacturers list on our list. So we are expecting them to come in from you guys, or at least many of them. And we need you personally, and we need you to share the information about the backpacks with the rest of the world. Because if we have all the hoodies we need and nothing else to go with them, we can't fill a backpack. That's why we're extending the campaign. So the answer to your question is yes and yes. Yes,
can you tell us the size of the backpack that you want?
You do not need to buy backpacks. I bought 1,000 backpacks. I have 45 cases of backpacks sitting in my garage right now, waiting to be filled. So you already have some of the sizes that Patricia was going to share with you. There's a few men's sizes, a large, extra large, and I think the women were medium and large. She's already given you that breakdown, or some of the clubs to break down. So yes, we need the zipped hoodies from you guys, and we need you to be our arms and legs to let other people know that they need to go to the website and buy a backpack, because one of the items is going to be the items that your clubs are buying, and that's the zipped hoodie. Exactly. So yes and yes on that question.
Anyone else? I'm looking for Ray.
I think Connie has a question.
Go, Connie.
When you build your small homes, do you connect up to the public sewer system, or do you have some other method for that for these small homes?
That's a great question. The one that we have now, the toilet is called an Incinelet. It runs on electricity. They use these in high-end yachts. And on space stations, there is no debris. At the end of the month, there's a little tray that opens up and it's like cigarette ash. That's all it is. So we need no septic hooked up for this. And for the shower, that's gray water. We have 240-gallon holding tanks built in the belly of the rig. So at the end of the month, we take a look at the indicator, and if it's full, we have a service that's going to come and pull out the gray water, just suck it out. So excellent question. But this is not going to be the model. We want to do a cluster development of brick and mortar homes, stick-built homes on slabs. This is the best way to integrate veterans back into normalized life. One veteran living in a trailer on a beautiful farm in Long Valley is not the typical experience. It's the experience that we're able to afford. But we want to go throughout the rest of the state. Jersey used to be called the Garden State. You know, when I took a ride yesterday, it took us almost 3 hours to get to Carney's Point. Boy, I traveled for a full hour. Just beautiful, beautiful wilderness and acres of farms and acres of fields. So I think with public information and goodwill and Operation Chill Out leadership and your support and others, we could make this happen. We can make this happen. We're as you know, the sheriff of Mars County said, we're the tip of the spear. We take risks that no one else has taken yet. I'm not bragging about that. It's just the way it is.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you for your support.
Any more questions? All right, I think that's it. Diana, you wanna?
Thank you, Ray. I found it really very, very interesting and very enlightening. I had no idea of the work that you do, and I've learned a lot today. Tremendously.
Thank you for inviting me. I was very, very happy. This was a delightful conversation. And again, I did speak less than an hour.
It was interesting.
I hope I spared you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ray, for very informative, something I knew nothing about. Thank you so much. And thanks, I hope we can get the word out beyond the Women's Club for you.
We will. With your support, I know we will. Thank you. God bless everybody.
God bless you. Thank you.
Ray, just want to mention, before you leave, Ray, we are going to be sending, from the Women's Club of Cranbury, we will be sending a check, an honorarium check for you coming and enlightening us. And that will actually go to our district. And I think other checks will be sent in, and then they will cut the check directly to you, to Operation Chill Out. So just so you know that we will be sending a check.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. The next time I do a Zoom, I'm going to do it in your office there.
That's a deal.
We'll I'll look professional then. That's great.
No, you've got the bookcase. Everybody has a bookcase.
There you go.
I just want to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I speak just for a second?
Oh, sure.
I think he's gone.
I just want to thank everyone for voting for Operation Chill Out for our special state project, or we never would have known about this wonderful organization.
I agree. I just had no idea.
No, none.
I think it's fascinating that they're doing it strictly on a volunteer and donation basis.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Oh.
And
it's
for 20
frightening
years.
that they one person a day. I mean, that there are that many people. It's in this state, in this country, it's just scary. Well, we have a lot to do to raise some good money for them.
Right. Right.
I just want to let you know, I'm going to stop the recording now because I don't know how much space we have to record on. So I think I got them in